The night was quiet. Too quiet for anyone to believe this was the beginning of the end. Officers had the name now, Brian Kohberger, but they needed the car, the Hyundai Elantra. They had traced it to his apartment, but the car itself was still missing. It wasn't just any car. It was the piece of the puzzle that made the case whole. They needed to find it, because they knew it would bring everything together. The way a single thread can pull a whole sweater apart. Investigators began combing through traffic cameras. The Elantra had been in plain sight for days, but no one had noticed it. Not until now. They tracked it through streetlights and shadows, through intersections and turns, all the way to the Idaho border. The car appeared again on a surveillance camera near Moscow, a faint outline passing under the street lamp. No one could see who was driving, but the car had the same unmistakable shape, the same color, the same make and model. The investigation exploded outward. What started as a missing piece now became the thread that unraveled everything. The Hyundai was everything. It was the bridge between the killer and the scene. It was the only constant that moved through the timeline without stopping. By the time the car was located, it had crossed state lines and made its way to Pullman, Washington. Kohberger's apartment complex was not far from the university, and the car sat parked outside in the same spot it had been days earlier. Parked like nothing had happened. Parked like it belonged there. They had no choice but to bring in the suspect. They called for a warrant. It was time to move. The car was the key, and they knew the arrest would be soon. Kohberger was still oblivious, still walking through his routine. The authorities were waiting for the right moment, for the right reason to pull him in. By the time they got the warrant, everything was in place. The pieces were coming together too fast for him to stop it. He had become a man walking through a storm without realizing the sky had already cracked open. The arrest was quiet. No sirens blared. No cameras flashed. They moved in fast. A small team of officers outside his apartment. A knock on the door. He answered it calmly. He was polite as they asked him to step outside. He did not resist. He did not ask questions. He simply walked out into the cold night air, and the world behind him began to change forever. Kohberger was taken into custody without incident, handcuffed and led away. He did not speak. He did not fight. The only sound was the rustling of his coat and the shuffle of boots on wet asphalt. Back in the precinct, the car was searched. Every inch of it carefully examined. They found traces of blood that had not yet dried. They found hair that wasn't his. They found pieces of the victim scattered among the seats and in the trunk. A map of Moscow. A notebook filled with strange notes. A pattern that could not be ignored.